This is Tar Heel Talk, an in-depth look at the issues and people making news in North Carolina. Here's your host, Sonia Williams.
Two mothers set out on a journey to address the way that African American males are perceived throughout the community. The result of their work is a documentary entitled Choice, Not Chance. Let's take a look.
Am I any different from you? No. So can you be where I am now? Yes.
You cannot expect me to think like you because my life is not like yours.
We don't love each other. We talk about killing each other.
All these kids are growing up now without their father, and they're trying to do the best of what they have.
One of the things that's most important for a child to understand is that he is loved.
My family didn't support that I was playing football and playing basketball. They didn't support that at all.
Seeing everybody else with a mother figure and a father, so it's making everybody it's making me look different.
How do we change it?
We have to start dealing with some hardcore issues. For every black male that's watching this, I want them to know you are somebody already. You have a sense of inherent worth. You were born with it because you exist. You are a unique creature. You don't have to have anybody validate your existence or your worth.
When you think about your life right now, where you are, how much of it would you contribute to choice, and how much would you contribute it to chance?
Such an interesting dialogue, and joining me now are the producers of Choice Not Chance, Angela Morrow and Mindy Fuller. Thank you both so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Talk about the catalyst and the reason for doing this documentary, how it all came about.
We're both mothers of sons, and we recognized something that was going on with our son's peer group. And although Minnie and I had mentored young ladies, we decided maybe it was something we need to maybe question and ask ourselves. So we started having conversations about our sons and boys and what was happening in our community, and decided initially just have a session of young men together to talk about their experiences. Then we end up putting a documentary together, just kind of ask them what's going on with you. Normally it's the media and psychiatrists and educators telling us what's wrong with our sons, but no one's asking them what's going on. So not necessarily is anything wrong with them, but what's happening emotionally that's causing them to make some decisions that maybe they should not be making. And how can we help them work through the things that was happening in their lives.
Okay. And Mindy, what information did you uncover as a process of making this documentary? What did you hear from our African American men?
Well, so much. One thing we realize is that young men do not have anyone to talk to about what's happening. One of the young men after the forum actually said to us, "Thank you for allowing me to say that out loud." So one thing that we realize is that there's no one for them to dialogue with. There's no one for them to talk about their problems with. So that was great. That was a great big issue. And another thing is that the parents' choices, the community choices, you know, what choices are we making for our sons, and how is that impacting the choices that they're making for themselves?
When you look at the information that was shared through your community sessions, what stands out to you as the most pressing need for our African American young men?
Relationships. I think what's happening, we're so busy raising our kids, we don't have a relationship or a connection. So they're not communicating to us exactly what's happening in their hearts. If they're broken, and if we played a part in that we're not being told. And maybe they're afraid to tell us, or maybe there's no one there to talk to. And so they are doing other things to make themselves feel better or heal or connect in other ways.
And not just relationships with us as parents, but relationships with family members. You know, the saying, it takes a village. Where's our village now? Churches, community leaders, teachers. We all need to work together. We need to be a family. So it's not just with the parents, but relationships with everyone around them.
Right. And so when you look at the work that you've uncovered here, what is left that needs to be done to help our young African American men? Because I'm a mom of two African American boys, and so I know that there are struggles and challenges. What is left to be done to help our boys become strong men?
A lot. Some of it has a lot to do with parents, because it starts with us and helping them develop socially and emotionally. Maybe there are tools that we don't even have to help our kids do that. So if we don't have those tools, how can they develop socially and emotionally? So a lot of the work starts with parents. So some of the things that Minnie and I are working on are parent workshops, which we're hopefully going to do this fall, 2 workshops in Wake County to give parents tools and techniques and resources and kind of figure out what their needs are. And then, hopefully they can take that information and take it back home and help build their kids.
Another thing that's needed is older professional African American males need to reach back. They need to reach back and grab these young men. They need some guidance, they need some direction, and they need males to tell them where to go and how to go about doing what they need to do to be successful. So I think mentoring is very, very important.
Absolutely. And you talk a lot about mentoring and the importance of people who are professionals to reach back and help our young African American men. How can people find out more information about your documentary and the work that you're trying to do for our young African American men?
Yeah, they can go to our website, which is www.choicenotchancedoc.com. And we have all of our information on there. You can actually look at the video from there as well.
Absolutely. As you look forward, you've produced this documentary. What is on the horizon for Choice Not Chance, and what are you hoping to do for other young African American men?
Workshops, more workshops, teaching tools, relationships, connection, mental health, making that available, have that discussion broader and open so we're all discussing it. Helping them in school with education, giving parents their tools at home with homework. Just making things available to our youth and having them come to the table and sit down with us. Even as we're planning our next conference, one of our goals is to have young people at our table. We can put a conference together from our viewpoint, but we need to have students and young people to tell us what their needs are. So have them interact, have them be players, help them create workshops, and maybe even facilitate, have the high school kids, facilitate the middle school kids. And just, everybody reaching back and helping one another and learning from one another.
So there's definitely layers of opportunities for people to learn more information and gain some knowledge along the way. They can go to your website, Choice Not Chance, and find out more information.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. We'll talk more in just a minute.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back with more on Choice Not Chance after these messages. Today's show focuses on a documentary that addresses the way that African American males are perceived throughout the community. It's entitled Choice Not Chance, and joining us now is a participant of the film, Andrew Moody, and William Kinsey, coordinator of Minority Male Success Initiatives at Wake Technical Community College. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Now, Andrew, tell us a little bit about your role in the documentary and why you decided to participate.
Sure. So in the documentary, there are approximately 8 young men and 8 older men. And I'm one of the younger men because we really wanted to talk about the things that we've experienced and the challenges that we face day to day out of the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Okay. What are some of the challenges that you do face day to day that you wanted to bring across in this documentary?
We talk about family struggles, the lack of a father figure in a home, but some of the more common challenges that aren't really talked about, I would say is a lack of a successful older black male in everyday life. Like in the school system, most of the teachers tend to be females. They can be different races, but they tend to be females. Even the principals, there's some that are males, but it's not very common, right? So I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we will face. Because we look at TV, we see basketball players and we see rappers and we see actors, right? But that's more what we see. If that makes sense.
Right. And that's why it's so important to have mentors in the community to step out and reach our young African American boys.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think it's very vital that, and specifically in the community college system, that we really embrace our young men when they come in. When we get them in the door, that's half the battle right there. So really definitely giving them the support that they need and letting them know that they have it within them. A lot of them have expressed, over the years that, they don't feel like they were as prepared to start the whole college road to success, so to speak. And so me being in a position of empowerment, I'm very excited about, being able to be that source of empowerment, that source of inspiration, and almost like a GPS for them just to help show them the route in which to go. And Andrew actually exhibits an example as a student who actually, upon coming in the door, reaching out, who reached out for that assistance and for that help. And as a result, his actions actually paid off.
Right. And Wake Tech, they offer guidance for young African American men.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Pathways Male Mentoring Services is actually a part of the North Carolina Community College System's Minority Male Success Initiative. And what that initiative does is it looked at the retention and graduation rates of minority males, and in particular African American males. And basically what the data showed as a whole is that our minority males, and more specifically our African American males, had the lowest retention and graduation rates. So what the North Carolina Community College System did was implement the Minority Male Success Initiative. And out of our 58 community colleges in the system, there are about 46 schools that actually participate in that Minority Male Success Initiative. And so Pathways Male Mentoring is Wake Tech's branch of that actual initiative. Okay. And so what we do with our program is just put those systems in place, and those initiatives designed to engage the students, to engage the young men once they come in our doors, and then as they matriculate throughout their time while at Wake Tech.
And Andrew, that is something that you've taken advantage of and made well use of.
Yes. When I first entered the program, I was introduced to Dean Anthony Kaysen. And seeing someone in that position of authority who looked like me, who had gone through the same struggles that I've gone through, or not even struggles, just the same experience, really made me feel like I could reach a similar position. So throughout the program, I was paired with several different mentors. Some of them I met with frequently, some of them I only met with a couple of times, but each one of those mentors impacted my life in a great way because I was able to see someone who looked like me in a very successful position and also communicate to me how they were able to get there in logical steps, in actual doable, not a self-help book, here's what you can do. No, this is literally what I did. Here's literally specifically what you can do to get here. So I was able to take those lessons and I apply them still literally every day. I can hear their voices in my head when I'm trying to make a difficult decision. And can I add something that you didn't necessarily ask me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
Also, I want to say mentors don't necessarily have to be much older. They could be someone a few years older. It could be a senior being a mentor to a freshman. I think we underestimate the impact that can have on someone. Because we need someone, I read in a book, I think it was The Laws of Leadership. We need someone several years, like 10 years ahead of us. We need someone 20 years ahead of us. We also need someone just 1 year ahead of us. Because one person can see the forest, they're 20 years ahead of us. But it's changed. Some of the things have changed, like everyday things. So they can give us the overall strategy, but the person that's 1 year ahead of us can say, okay, here's how things are today and the day-to-day struggles that you can deal with, such as social media, Facebook, right? You follow what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yes.
So it's good to have a wide variety of mentors in different stages of their lives that can help you.
Absolutely. It does take a village. And like you're saying, it doesn't necessarily need to be someone who is 20 years older, but someone who may be just a little bit further in their journey than you are, who can provide that guidance and some of that, those words of wisdom. When you look at that and you think about the messages that you want to send to African American men, what are some of the things that you are hoping to connect the dots with our men who are coming through the community college system?
Well, one of the things that I try to do in my day-to-day duties in my role is to connect them to experiences that shows them that they can do it. So that could be going to visit the industry, the career industry that they're looking at going into early on when they first get in the door, because many times they don't get those opportunities until they're right at the end. Or what about the student in the beginning that has the potential to do it but can't really see himself doing it? So actually giving them earlier experiences to let them know that they can do it, and connecting them with people that are in those areas that they can talk with, learn about what some of their struggles were, but then how they overcame those struggles. I think that's very important because a lot of the time some of the dreams that our young men have seem abstract to them, especially if there's no one in their family that has accomplished certain things. They don't really see themselves doing that. So to actually make the experience or make that end goal more tangible for them is key. And so that's really what I've tried to do throughout my time there, and it really has made a difference.
Right. And Andrew, that resonates with you.
Yes, the tangibility. That's what I was looking for earlier. That's the word. Because let's say if I wanted to be, I don't know, let's say a successful movie director. That's something I wanted to do growing up. But I'm thinking in my head, how many mainstream blockbuster African-American male movie directors are there? I think there's none. And I'm like, okay, well, I could be the first, but realistically, what are the odds? I'm thinking in my head realistically, right? It's a probability, but it's really low. So now we have, the movie that came out recently, Black Panther, was directed by Ryan Coogler, blockbuster, that did numbers internationally, right? So now a kid who's 8 years old, he can look and say, well, I might actually have a shot. Right. And maybe there aren't many of them because there aren't that many people pursuing that because they don't think there's a high probability of them achieving it, right? So the tangibility aspect is different from reading somebody in a book and having them sit right in front of you, so.
Making those goals attainable.
Making those goals attainable.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
How can people find out more information about the Pathways program?
If they could visit the Wait Tech's website, or they can actually visit the Pathways website by going to pathways.waittech.edu. And so on there it will feature and it will highlight some of our initiatives and what we seek to do with the students that we serve.
All right, William Kinsey, Andrew Moody, thank you both so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Don't go away, Tar Heel Talk will continue after these messages. Welcome back to Tar Heel Talk. I'm Sonia Williams. We're talking today about a documentary that addresses the way that African American males are perceived throughout the community. It's entitled Choice, Not Chance. And joining us now is Sean Ingram, author and motivational speaker, and also Dr. James Smith, medical director and managing partner with Carolina Partners in Mental Health Care. Thank you both so much for being with us.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Now, the mental health aspect of issues addressing African American men or concerning African American men is incredibly important. Dr. Smith, talk a little bit about that component and how it relates to this documentary.
Clearly what we're after is many of these young men have been victims of what we call adverse childhood experiences. Here in Wake County, we've been trying to address it as a community. We have Advocates in Health in Action, organization working with the county, trying to work with the school system so we can help teach these young men resilience. They've come from maybe families with substance abuse. They've seen violence in the family. They've been hungry. One of the things I'm very proud of about this community, we have backpack buddies. We've got pantries now in our high schools because kids would go home for the weekend and be hungry. And then how are you going to study, and how are you going to be a positive mentally when you're struggling with hunger? And so trying to be bright and keep the face and then go home and struggle with that, it takes its toll on you. But these young men are resilient. And that's what I love about Choice Not Chance, because they had a choice and they had chances, and they've made the very best of them.
Absolutely, and that's incredibly important. And
Amen.
Sean, you talk about incarceration being a component that is challenging for our African American boys and men. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's pretty much what Doc just said. A lot of my speeches I always talk about the mindset, and a lot of people don't look at it as that. Being incarcerated takes a mental toll on a person. I mean, I went to prison when I was about 22, 23 years old. Now at 41, I still suffer from being institutionalized. I eat fast. I don't sit with my back to the door. So there's a lot of things that I do at this day. Me, CEO, author, motivational speaker, I travel this country, but that 5 years took a real toll on me. So a lot of people don't look at it as having that lasting effect. And that's, like Doc said, that's what we're dealing with right now. So how do you have confidence? How do you believe in yourself? How do you be resilient when you got the weight of the world on your shoulders, in a sense, and you're afraid, because you're afraid that your back against the wall, and if you don't make the right decision, if you don't say the right things, you can go right back to the traps that you came from. Right. So that is it takes a lasting impression on you.
Absolutely, and so you have been in the trenches, and you know firsthand what it's like to be incarcerated and to come out and try to live a normal, quote unquote, life. What message do you share, and how did you get beyond that?
Just believing in me, so as an author, motivational speaker, and that's why the support system is so important. And if you don't have that support system, honestly, just to be insanely believable in that you have a gift and a talent that you have to offer the world. So in my book, I talk about it. It's called From Poverty to Prison to Prosperity. So one of my quotes is, success isn't about what you can do, it's about what you can endure. Because every day we're gonna hit challenges, we're gonna face those obstacles that's gonna be in our way. And honestly, we got more strikes against us than most people have. I mean, think about it. I got 6 employees. I mean, I got businesses, but yeah, I can't go to Walmart and get a job because I have criminal background, I have violence in my record, I have so many different things. And I'm suffer from mental illnesses myself, so being labeled manic depressant. I remember being in prison and I had to go see this lady all the time. Every week I was registered to go see this lady, and we would have these conversations, and then it dawned on me one day for some reason. I said, you know what, if I didn't feel the way that I felt about the way that I been through, I would be crazy. But don't tell me that I am crazy, or like you said, try to give me medicine. Teach me how to deal with the emotions and the feelings that I have. Teach me how to channel this energy in a positive direction instead of a negative direction. So that's what we try to do mostly even at the Sean Ingram Academy, is, like you said, being a mentor to these guys. Say, no, it's okay for you to feel that way. That's perfectly fine, but let me teach you how to deal with it in a proper manner.
Absolutely, and Dr. Smith, that is so important for people to get that mental health support.
It certainly is, and what we heard earlier, both from Andrew and others, the mentoring. And he made an excellent statement when he said the older guy like myself, but also needing that young man that's about 2 or 3 years ahead of him, because we could all impart a lot of wisdom from a different perspective. And the plans that our producers have for the conferences, what the county has, we are truly going to try to make 2019 a year where we teach resilience to every youngster in this town so that they can overcome and be a positive, have a positive experience to say, I'm going to be the best I can be.
Right. Right. Absolutely important information. We thank you both so much for taking the time to work with our young people and for sharing that information with us today.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's Tar Heel Talk. To comment on this or other episodes of the show, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, or send us an email to tarheeltalk@fox50.com. I'm Sonia Williams. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again next week.